seems like Russell Wilson has taken his last snaps in Denver. It is odd, I think, for both of us to say that Russell Wilson improved from 2022, but I think that's more saying how awful his 2022 season was. But I think then the emergence of Sean Payton as the head coach, I think, has helped out the team a lot and him putting the team in better situations. So we're going to break down the 2023 season, our overall thoughts on Russell Wilson, whether we think he's going to stay or move on, and what potential avenues there might be for him to stay. And then also we're going to preview the 2024 offseason for the Denver Broncos with some of their draft picks, key free agents, and then also some of their overall team needs we think they might address in the draft. Before we do that, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified whenever we create new content. Ryan, if you want to pull the slide up here, they ended up going 8-9, and if you really think about it too, they had kind of a tale of they like had bookend horrible looking teams, but in the middle of the season, they had a solid stretch where they're just finding ways to win games. They're kind of grinding it out. I think that's where I'll start off with their overall team defensive rankings. I think they're a little bit misleading compared to how they ended the season. If you go look at the first 5 games, I mean, they gave up so many points in those first 5 games. 72 Miami, yes, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking like 28 to Chicago in week 4, which that was then like they weren't really that good of a team at that point. 31 to the New York Jets the following week, and 35 to the Washington Commanders, and the Commanders' offense ended up not really panning out like how everybody thought they would after seeing them put up 35 against Denver. So I think a lot of it is something they definitely improved on over time, which is going to be good momentum that they take into the 2024 offseason. I think they can still go get an edge rusher. I know we've talked about like they go get a Jared Verse or DJ Dallas Turner. I was going to say DJ Turner. I'm like, no, he's with the Bengals.
Yeah.
But then offensively, though, there's so many interesting things and different routes that they can go. It's Russell Wilson is at the center of it, but also too, how good was the offensive line? How good is Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy? Are they actually overrated, or have they just never had a quarterback to throw to them? Same thing then too with the backfield. Is Javonte Williams the guy, or is he also suffering from a weak offensive line and a weak quarterback? What are your overall thoughts kind of on the Broncos offense, starting with Russell Wilson, and let's transition then into the other key aspects of the game?
Yeah, I mean, this offense definitely was kind of a little bit of an enigma of just these like screen passes and like short, ineffective plays coupled in with like some really explosive down the field passing plays. I really like Russell Wilson still, I think, really throws one of the best deep balls in the league. It's just the problem is he can throw it 40 plus and then 5 down, like or 0 to 5. He can't throw anything from 6 to 39 yards like accurately, consistently. And to me, that kind of was the big stalling point for this offense was when teams would force them to throw the ball in the intermediate areas. They took away the run game and they would take away the deep ball. This offense really had nothing, and like it's kind of sad to see Russell Wilson. I mean, he had a Hall of Fame career in Seattle, and I think he probably still is a Hall of Famer, but he completely ruined his legacy here in Denver and has kind of become a little bit of a joke, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I hope he lands somewhere where he can play well. But this Denver team, I definitely think that he's taken his last snap in Denver. But offensively, Javonte Williams had a good year. He did struggle to stay on the field a little bit. And I do think this offensive line, especially as the year went on, got better. You mentioned this a little bit before we started recording. The sacks number 52, that was, I think, top 5 in the league, top 6 in the league. And that, to me, I put a lot more on Russell Wilson just for how long he was holding on to the football. He just really struggled to get the ball out quickly, like I said. Anything intermediate over the middle, he really struggled to place on a receiver accurately. Turnovers, they were right about average. And then definitely defensively, I think they improved a lot. Especially, I mean, to be fair, they started off with probably the worst defensive performance I've ever seen in my lifetime against Miami. So there was a lot of room to go up, but I definitely think they ended up turning into one of the better defenses. They held Kansas City to 3 field goals in their second matchup, I believe. And even in the first matchup, they held them to 17 points. So
they had a 6-game stretch in weeks 2 through 6. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A 5-game stretch. They gave up 388, 726, 471, 407, 389. So yeah, like just that 5-week stretch from weeks 2 to week 6, I don't think is a good representation of how well
Yeah.
the defense played over the final couple of weeks. Really, if you just go and look at it over the final couple of, let's say 6 weeks, they give up 448 to Detroit on a Saturday night game, but not too many games where they gave up just a bunch. They gave up 385 to Josh Dobbs and Minnesota Vikings, but they ended up winning that game still. So I guess maybe it kind of nulled it out. But in general, though, they were starting to keep teams more in the lower 300, higher 200s comparatively in the second half of the season. So you're seeing the improvements. I do think maybe they will go and get. I think Jersey Newton might be a guy that put him in the middle of that defensive line, and I think will help everybody out. And so I think that actually would be interesting then if we kind of transition then to their outlook for the 2024 offseason. Some of the other key guys, Josie Jewell, inside linebacker, he is in the free agency market. Let me go double check here.
Glasgow, Lloyd Cushenberry, and Cameron Fleming are all free agents. Mike Purcell,
yes.
And then I don't remember.
Kawan Williams, PJ Locke, and then also Fabian Moreau in the secondary.
Yeah.
And so those are going to be some guys that some of those guys they are going to want to bring back. But when you go look at their cap space, just shy of negative 20 million, they're going to have to move some pieces around and probably, unfortunately, not sign a lot of these guys back. And they don't really have the draft capital. As of right now, they only have 6 picks in the 2024 draft, and they don't even have a second rounder. So maybe they'll get some compensatory picks. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But if they're trying to find a new quarterback, then if they're also trying to improve on the offensive line and add a little bit of defensive depth as well, I think it's going to be hard for them to really try and navigate, be aggressive in free agency and try and bring guys in. I think it's going to be like, let's retain guys we think are going to be important and then hope we hit in the draft here. And so that's where when I look at where they're picking 12th overall, Jersey Newton's come to my mind. Maybe they could go and get a Kool-Aid McKinstry and help out with the secondary if they let some of these guys go, or maybe a Nate Wiggins. One of those guys will be the first ones off the board. If they want to go offensive line, I think I don't think. I mean, they signed Ben Powers last year free agency, and then they also did get Mike McGlinchey as well. I think Garrett Bowles, I think is pretty good. Cam Fleming as well. Let me even go see if there's anybody else that I might be missing. Cameron Fleming is going to be a free agent, actually. So, that's one of the names I already have on here. So maybe they could go with J.C. Latham or Marius Mims, or if they somehow got lucky and Joe Alt or Olu dropped that far.
Looking at their cap space and their draft capital, I think they could probably re-sign maybe a couple of these guys, but then I do think at 12 they would probably be a top candidate to trade back. I mean, I think you look at it every year, and there's always one guy that kind of falls out of the top 10 that a lot of people have graded as a top 10, especially as you get from outside the top 10 approaching towards the middle of the draft. You'll really start to see a fall off in this class from like real blue chippers, where there's 8 or 10 blue chip prospects in this class. And maybe one of those guys sneaks outside the top 10 because teams draft a need over the best player available. And I think that they could have a team maybe move up for, say, like a Rome Odunze. I think one of the tackles could potentially fall this far. I highly doubt it, especially with the Jets being at 10, the Titans being at 7. And so I highly doubt it, but maybe. But there could be one of those guys. Maybe Brock Bowers falls that far if teams just don't want to draft a tight end that high, which I think would be a mistake because I love Brock Bowers. But I do think they would be a top candidate to trade back, maybe somewhere in the realm of 20 to like 25, and maybe acquire a second round pick and maybe another third, or add another fourth or something to the mix there. So they do have some flexibility.
Yeah.
I just don't know if they are really in the also, if they trade back, I do think that would, if they draft Bo Nix between 20 and 25, I think that would be a lot better than potentially trying to snag somebody later in the draft. Then also reaching and drafting Bo Nix at 12, I think would be a bit of a mistake there. So, we lost Tyler. All right, so we lost connection to Tyler there, so let's just go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you think of the Broncos 2023 season and what you think they should do going forward into the 2024 offseason. Other than that, we will see you guys next time.